How to improve your fluency. Elara often felt a knot tighten in her stomach whenever she had to speak English. Every sentence felt like navigating a minefield, constantly second-guessing her grammar and vocabulary. She knew the words, but they tangled on her tongue, refusing to come out smoothly. "Why do I always make mistakes?" she'd whisper, her confidence dwindling. Her dream was to communicate effortlessly, to express her thoughts without hesitation, but fluency seemed like a distant, unattainable peak. She spent hours studying textbooks, memorizing grammar rules, yet true conversation remained a painful struggle. The frustration grew with each silent, missed opportunity. She watched videos titled, "How to Improve Your Fluency," hoping for a magic solution, but the advice often felt generic. It wasn't about more grammar exercises, it was something deeper. Her biggest fear was mispronouncing words or constructing awkward sentences in front of others. Elara often wondered how to learn English effectively. Traditional classroom settings provided a foundation, yet they didn't bridge the gap to real-world communication. She felt stuck in a perpetual cycle of learning without true application, leading to immense self-doubt and anxiety daily. One evening, after another halting conversation, she slumped onto her couch. "Why I always make mistakes," she typed into her search bar, desperate for answers. The screen glowed with articles discussing natural acquisition and the role of errors in learning, a new perspective. She read that mistakes weren't failures but crucial feedback. They highlighted areas for growth, not reasons for shame. This revelation started to chip away at her long-held fear of imperfection. It was a small shift, but significant for her mindset change. The article also touched on how to remember words effectively, not just rote memorization. It suggested connecting new vocabulary to images, emotions, or personal experiences. Contextual learning, it emphasized, was far more powerful than isolated lists, changing her approach immediately. She started a small notebook, drawing tiny sketches next to new words. For elated, she drew a jumping stick figure. For trepidation, a wobbly line. This visual association made the words stick, turning vocabulary acquisition into a creative game. Next, she focused on how to improve your listening skills. Elara realized her biggest weakness wasn't speaking, but understanding native speed. She had to train her ear to pick up nuances, intonation, and common phrases quickly and accurately without mental translation. She immersed herself. Podcasts became her constant companions during commutes and chores. She listened to various accents, slowing down the audio initially, then gradually increasing the speed. Her brain slowly began to untangle the rapid flow of spoken English. Movies and TV shows, previously viewed with subtitles in her native language, now became active listening exercises. She switched to English subtitles, then none at all. The visual context helped her grasp meaning, even when individual words eluded her comprehension. A friend recommended, "Learn English through stories." Elara discovered a vast world of audiobooks and simplified novels. Reading and listening simultaneously allowed her to connect written words with their spoken forms, enriching her vocabulary and comprehension profoundly. She found joy in following narratives, forgetting she was studying. The characters' journeys pulled her in, and new words naturally absorbed into her memory. This method made Learn English feel less like a chore and more like an adventure, truly engaging her. This holistic approach, combining listening, reading, and contextual learning, started building a stronger foundation. Her passive knowledge grew, but the fear of speaking lingered, a silent barrier preventing true fluency. She knew she needed to activate her learned knowledge. The next challenge was production. She knew she had to start talking at home. It sounded silly at first, talking to herself in an empty room, but she decided to embrace the awkwardness. Her reflection became her first conversation partner. She described her day aloud, narrated simple actions, and even argued with herself about mundane topics. I am making coffee now. The water is boiling. I like my coffee black. This internal monologue turned external, building muscle memory for speaking. Her cat, Mittens, became an unwitting audience for her English monologues. Elara would explain her plans for the day, or comment on the weather, all in English. Mittens offered no judgment, only sleepy blinks, providing a safe, non-threatening practice environment. Sometimes she would record herself speaking on her phone. Listening back felt excruciating initially, highlighting every hesitation and grammatical error. But it also allowed her to objectively identify patterns in her mistakes, becoming a valuable self-correction tool. The recordings showed her progress, too. A month later, her sentences were slightly longer, her pauses less frequent. It wasn't perfect, but it was significant improvement. This tangible evidence fueled her motivation to continue her persistent daily practice. Elara started thinking in English more often. When a thought popped into her head, she tried to formulate it directly in English, bypassing her native language. This internal translation reduced mental friction, slowly paving the way for more spontaneous speech. The concept of "start talking at home" truly transformed her confidence. The safe, private environment allowed her to experiment with new phrases and grammatical structures without fear of judgment. It was her personal language laboratory, always open and accessible. She practiced asking questions, answering them herself, and even rehearsing potential conversations she might have. This preemptive practice made real-life interactions less daunting when the time finally came to step outside her comfort zone. Eventually, she felt ready to tackle the intimidating question: how to talk to anyone in English. Her home practice had built a foundation, but now she needed authentic interaction, the ultimate test of her improving communication skills and fluency. Her first step was joining online language exchange groups. Video calls with strangers from different parts of the world felt less intimidating than face-to-face encounters. The pressure was still there, but manageable, allowing for gradual exposure. She started with short, structured conversations, focusing on common topics. Mistakes still happened, but Elara reminded herself of her new mantra: mistakes are learning opportunities. She embraced corrections, viewing them as helpful guidance, not personal failures. Each successful interaction, no matter how brief or imperfect, boosted her confidence exponentially. She discovered that most people were incredibly patient and supportive, often celebrating her efforts rather than criticizing her minor errors in pronunciation. She joined a local English-speaking club, taking the bold step into in-person conversation. The initial nervousness was intense, but the shared goal of improving created a welcoming atmosphere. She found strength in numbers, a community of learners. Elara learned that true fluency wasn't about speaking without error, but about communicating effectively and confidently despite them. It was about conveying meaning, connecting with people, and not letting fear paralyze her linguistic abilities any longer. She noticed her vocabulary expanding rapidly as she encountered new words in natural conversation. When she didn't understand something, she'd ask for clarification, actively filling gaps in her knowledge, cementing new phrases into her memory. Her listening skills sharpened significantly from these real-time interactions. She learned to anticipate responses, pick up on conversational cues, and follow complex discussions without getting lost. Her comprehension became almost effortless, a testament to practice. The more she talked, the more comfortable she became with spontaneous expression. Her thoughts flowed more freely from her mind to her mouth, and the internal translation decreased dramatically, becoming an automatic, almost unconscious process. Elara even started thinking about how to learn English differently. It wasn't just about accumulating knowledge. It was about transforming that knowledge into usable skill through consistent, fearless application. Learning was doing, not just studying. She began recommending learn English through stories to others, emphasizing how engaging narratives made the learning process enjoyable and effective. She shared her method for remembering words, helping friends create their own visual notebooks for vocabulary building. Her personal journey became an inspiration to others who struggled. She proudly shared her mantra, "Why I always make mistakes. Because I'm learning." This shift in perspective resonated with many, encouraging them to view errors positively. She reflected on her initial fears, the how to talk to anyone in English apprehension that once held her captive. Now, starting conversations with strangers, even in unfamiliar situations, felt exciting, a chance to connect and practice. Elara's fluency wasn't a sudden event but a gradual blossoming. Each small victory, a successfully told anecdote, a joke understood, a complex opinion expressed, added to her growing confidence and mastery of the language, building upon itself. She discovered the joy of spontaneous speech, of being able to react instantly and articulately in English. The language no longer felt like a foreign code but a natural extension of her thoughts and feelings, a true voice. Her ability to improve your listening skills meant she could now fully participate in discussions, understanding not just the words but also the underlying tone and emotion. Conversations became richer, more meaningful, and deeply engaging for her. The advice to start talking at home proved invaluable. It laid the groundwork, creating a safe space for her early, wobbly steps into speaking. Without that initial private practice, facing the world would have been far more daunting, she realized. She no longer worried excessively about why I always make mistakes. She understood they were signposts on her journey, guiding her toward greater precision and understanding. Every correction was a lesson learned, deeply ingrained and valued. Elara's journey highlighted that how to learn English is a deeply personal and evolving process. What works for one person might not work for another, but consistent effort and a positive mindset are universal keys to success, she believed. She continued to seek out new materials, always pushing her boundaries. New accents, academic papers, and complex documentaries challenged her listening skills further, ensuring she never plateaued in her ongoing language development. Her vocabulary continued to grow, not through forced memorization, but through active use and encounter in real contexts. She found that the best how to remember words method was simply to use them repeatedly until they became second nature. Fluency felt less like a destination and more like a continuous journey of exploration and refinement. She was constantly learning, constantly improving, enjoying the process itself as much as the results of her dedicated effort. Elara's story became a testament to perseverance. She proved that with the right strategies and an unbreakable spirit, anyone could bridge the gap from hesitant speaker to confident communicator, no matter their starting point or previous struggles. Her English speaking became natural, almost effortless. She could hold lengthy discussions, tell intricate stories, and even crack jokes that landed perfectly with native speakers, a dream come true she had once only imagined in her mind. The joy of understanding nuanced humor and cultural references was immense. English had opened up a new world of connection, friendships, and opportunities she never thought possible just a few years prior, a true transformation for her. She found herself helping others with their English journeys, sharing her insights on how to improve your fluency, offering practical advice gleaned from her own struggles and triumphs. Her empathy made her an effective and inspiring mentor. Elara's journey was a powerful reminder that how to learn English is about embracing the entire process, the mistakes, the small victories, the consistent effort. It's about finding what resonates with you and sticking with it every single day. She looked back at the shy, hesitant girl she once was and marveled at her transformation. English was no longer a barrier but a bridge, connecting her to a wider world, enriching her life in countless, unexpected ways daily. Her confidence radiated beyond language. The discipline and resilience she developed in learning English permeated other areas of her life, making her bolder, more persistent, and more willing to face new challenges with enthusiasm. So, if you're asking how to improve your fluency, remember Elara's journey. Embrace mistakes, listen actively, read stories, talk at home, and fearlessly connect with others. Your English voice awaits, ready to be discovered by you. She understood that consistent exposure and active production were paramount. It wasn't just about passively receiving information, but actively producing language, making it her own through repeated, conscious application in diverse settings. The initial question, why I always make mistakes, evolved into, how can I learn from my mistakes? This powerful shift in perspective was perhaps the most crucial lesson of her entire transformative, rewarding language acquisition journey. Elara's story is a beacon for every language learner. It underscores that patience, persistence, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone are the true keys to unlocking fluency and mastering how to talk to anyone in English.